Welcome to the CROC Podcast.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here is your host, Dr. E.
Howdy, CROC Nation. Dr. Tommy and Ellie here with you with another CROC Podcast. Along with me is my partner in crime, my bestie, my spiritual warrior, Angel Santana. Have faith, let it begin. Angel, it's been forever.
I tell you,
I'm back from vacation and I feel like I've never done a podcast before.
you know, it's weird. We've been with Dr. E and I, we can not speak for a couple of days and we pick up where we left off, but podcasting and not seeing your face, just like you said just now, makes you feel like it's been like a decade, you know, not to over dramatize it, but yeah, it's been a long time. I'm glad you had some rest. You know, we were just talking about stuff that happened, so we'll have to fill them in eventually. But listen, to the CROC Nation, I just want to say one thing. You know, this podcast, in the last couple of days, I've had a chance to really digest it and started to listen to some older episodes. And I really suggested to the CROC Nation, you really need to go back and listen to a lot of these episodes. You don't have to so much as listen to it chronologically. You can listen to it based on what suits your needs. And then, of course, if you find a module, if you find a 3-part series, then follow that through. But this is a really amazing podcast that allows you, even if you don't have the background of having someone that you may or may not know about cancer, it's an opportunity for you to learn. And that's what I've been doing. You're learning about what could, may not, but it's great to know what's out there because you may want to communicate with others in a deep way.
Angel, thank you for those kind words. And I agree 100%. And the thing that always impresses me about podcasting is if you stick with it long enough and you accumulate a lot of episodes like we have, you do have that ability to look at it like a Chinese menu. And you could look at, maybe you're in the mood to listen to something about breast cancer or one of the survivor stories or interviews with some of the heavy hitters that we've had in the past that are top notch in their subspecialties in cancer. Or you might just want to hear a funny one, or you might want to hear one that's more emotionally driven. Yeah, please look at the website and see what tickles your fancy. And I'm very, very, very honored to be launching this particular episode right after Mother's Day, or actually on Mother's Day. And I wanted to tell all of our survivor thrivers and all of our physicians and caretakers and caregivers and cancer team who are moms, whether they have their own children or whether they are great aunts or whether they're just very good neighbors or whether they are great dog moms or whatever. We wish you guys a very happy Mother's Day. We're going to finish up actually a topic that was kind of just come across by accident. And now we're going to finish up the thought and the theme of how to deal with uncertainty in medicine. And it was derived from an experience, like most of our podcasts come directly from the clinic, where we met a woman by the name of Janine. Janine got a report on her my chart that sounded like she was going to die. And we looked and we investigated and we found out that it was a false report and that the doctors who were reading the report didn't do a good job. And it brought out this thought that in life, because Jeanette, if you remember, Janine, as you recall, was an English teacher, and she took the words very literally on the report, and she just couldn't understand the concept that there is this uncertainty in medicine, uncertainty in medical reports or in diagnostic radiology reports, pathology reports, blood work. You know, I think our survivor thrivers and all of us who are patients, you know, come to see a doctor and they expect to get an answer and they expect to get every answer to their questions. And it was perplexing to see and to admit to the fact that there was so much uncertainty in medicine. And we just want to kind of continue that theme. Angel, what was your experience with the first podcast on this theme?
I found it extremely breathtaking. It hit home to me in different aspects, spiritually and also mentally. Just the feeling of not giving up also, and then dealing with, even I guess it's like watching I hate to say it like this, but this is the best way I can put it and articulate it. It was like watching a movie, but it's a true story, and you were blessed to be a part of it, and you want to get to know her, and I felt like we did.
Yeah, and of course. And she, again, we give all the credit to her. That's not her real name, but we are in great debt to her stimulating these thoughts. So basically, the name of the podcast module, Navigating the Uncertainties of Medicine, how to embrace and enhance the unknown in your survivorship journey. And last time we talked about the physician's perspective, and tonight we're going to talk about the survivor's perspective. And just to recap, which we sort of already did, but Janine had a CT scan, had a report, told her she was going to die, got into a circular conversation with me, just couldn't figure out the fact that there could be a mistake or uncertainty in medicine. And I came face to face with that specter of uncertainty, that black cloud that surrounds and disorients us as providers. And we basically discussed why we pretend that there is no uncertainty, because this is a very important topic. We believe that patients expect us to have all the answers, and we feel we should have all the answers. And we also don't want to look stupid. We don't want to look like we don't know the answers. We don't want to kind of tear down that perception that we're all that in a bag of chips, as they say, when we are human, and we're fallible, and sometimes we don't know everything. So that was on our side from the providers, and today we're going to talk about this side from the perspective of the survivor thriver. And we discussed also how we can live harmoniously with uncertainty. And today, my goal, Angel, today is to do the same for our survivor thrivers as we did for our practitioners, and that is how to teach you guys how to stand tall instead of cowering when uncertainty comes knocking at your door. But it won't be an easy fix for a survivor thriver as opposed to a practitioner, because for the medical team, it's pretty simple. You have to just acknowledge it and accept it, and then you have to deal with it and integrate it into your practice. But for the survivor thrivers, you guys have to deal with the double whammy of uncertainty, because you have to deal with the general aspects of uncertainty that are in medicine that all of us have to deal with. And then you have to also deal with the specific aspects of uncertainty in a life or death disease that you have, that we call cancer. And you have to think about what the actual skeleton of your life is. So your skeleton is that you get all of this testing, which is completely in uncertain territory. Sometimes, or very commonly, patients who have had treatment, when they get their post-treatment x-rays, scarring looks the same as recurrent cancer. So there's all this uncertainty. You also have the uncertainty about your prognosis, whether you're stage 1 breast cancer or stage 4 colorectal cancer or a glioblastoma or an anaplastic thyroid cancer. You have all of these prognosticators. But again, are we 100% certain that you have 6 months to live, 1 year to live, 2 years to live, 5 years to live, 10 years to live, or you will die one day, but you're not going to die of your cancer? Do we know that for certain? We absolutely do not. And then you have to think about the side effects. So you're about to sign on the dotted line, give your life away to the practitioner by signing consent. And they're giving you all of these odds. You're going to get a skin reaction. You're going to get tired. You're going to get diarrhea. You're going to have headaches. You're going to have this. You're going to have that. You're going to have damage to your esophagus. You're going to have damage to your lungs. You're going to have damage to your kidneys or to your bladder or to your rectum. Is that for certain? And absolutely is not uncertain. And the uncertainty of whether or not your cancer is going to come back, that fear of recurrence. So remember, we've talked about the cancer roller coaster, where you get your treatment, you survive, you do your testing, everything looks great, you're without evidence of disease, you've dealt with your side effects, you're just about back to your normal life, and now it's time to get restaged with a CAT scan or an MRI or a bone scan. And then all of a sudden you have this post-traumatic response to that. And then you're uncertain as to what the results actually mean. Am I still cancer-free? What is this thing they call schmutz? What is this little nodule that wasn't there before? And you get sort of chasing your own tail with this uncertainty. So I think, Angel, the first step for our survivor thrivers to have to deal with is they have to deal with the concept of acceptance. Uncertainty is non-discriminatory. It's the same for everyone. It's the same for cancer patients and the same for non-cancer patients. So you need to first accept the fact that you are not special. You are special to Angel and I and to the CROC Nation and to the CROC Podcast and to the CROC, identity, but you are not singled out when it comes to all of this angst that comes from the uncertainty in medicine. You also have to understand that uncertainty is the foundation of our existence. Why are we here? Right? We haven't figured that one out yet. Where do we go when we die? Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? We don't know the answer to these things. We have faith, we believe, some of us and some of us don't. But regardless, we still don't have the answer to these very important questions. And that's another aspect of uncertainty, which I think we can accept. We can accept the fact that we don't know, and we need to help our survivor thrivers accept the fact that there is uncertainty in life. And once we realize that as survivor thrivers, that we are no different than anyone else as it relates to uncertainty, that's our first step to freedom. That is the freedom from worry, the freedom from fear, the freedom from continually doing that worst case scenario game that we all play and our survivor thrivers do. Well, I have stage 1 breast cancer. What happened? And I get this all the time when I ask for questions the first time I meet somebody. Well, what happens if the surgery doesn't work? What happens if the radiation doesn't work? What happens if the chemotherapy doesn't work? Well, we're going to free you of that worst case scenario syndrome. That's another important aspect to acceptance. And then that leads us to freedom. And then lastly, that empowers us. That allows our survivor thrivers to be empowered with the knowledge that uncertainty is just part of the game. It's built into this game. It's built into our existence. It's built into our entire life's journey. And once you embrace the reality of this uncertainty, and once you pull back the curtain, all that's left is truth. And the truth is, we are all in this mess we call life together. The truth is, seldom are your doctors or nurses or medical reports, quote unquote, certain. And the truth is, we all are better off living a real life that's full of uncertainty instead of a fake life, which is full of denial and fantasy. So the truth is, you are our survivor thrivers. You are unbeatable. You are impenetrable. You are unconquerable with this information. Angel, your thoughts about uncertainty from the survivor thrivers perspective?
I think we can all agree that at one point in our lives, we are going to question any and all things. From a spiritual aspect of it, we have faith. And if we have our faith, it leads us in one direction. If we have a non-faith or non-denominational view of it, you may feel that you are empowered to overcome any and all obstacles in life. You may also feel that the universe out there is also providing you the energy and the wisdom to move in the right direction. Well, guess what? All of that is phenomenal. And if you believe in everything that I just talked about in a positive view, I don't see why you can't see yourself on the path to righteousness. So I wish you luck.
That's beautifully said. And I will end with the following concept. If you walk into a doctor's office with this knowledge, knowing that if you ask a question, there's a possibility the doctor might say, I don't know, but I will find out. If you walk into a doctor's office with the knowledge that even they don't know all the answers to everything, and there are such things as miracles and are such things as people just kind of hedging their opinions for their own purposes, for their own agendas, such as the radiologist hedging his read just so he doesn't get sued, as opposed to reading the report in a humane and just way. And knowing that when you walk in without those expectations, without putting your doctors and your nurses on a pedestal, without getting too freaked out about a report that really is nothing more than just a a bunch of words, garbled words that really don't mean anything, and just go by what you feel, how you look, how you're doing, and use that as your benchmark instead of having to get that sort of 5-star seal of approval from either a report or an x-ray or your physicians or your nurses. It's not necessary, because right now we're all in the same boat. We don't know when it's our time. We don't know when our expiration stamp is that God put on our soul. And I think that the bottom line is, if you have that information and that knowledge, that will free you. That will give you the peace that you deserve to get through your survivorship in a very successful and very fulfilling way. Angel, any last words before I close?
No, I think that if you, we're going to ask all of you once again, if you have any views on this, or a story, or maybe a personal testimony about it, meaning in the sense of, sharing with us what you got out of this. We'd love to hear from you. We're available on X. We're available on Facebook. We're available on our email. Everything is on the actual description of this episode. Click on that. It goes right to Dr. E. It goes right to me, and we will get back to you as quick as we can.
Angel, thank you for those words, and thanks for everything you do for our survivors. And I'm going to end our podcast tonight in this module with our CROC prayer. And just want to take a moment to acknowledge you guys out there. I know you're scared. I know you're frightened. I know you don't want to die. I know you're in pain. I know that you are absolutely in a bad place. And you hear words from a doctor. You read words on your My Chart. You're told by the nurse things that are very upsetting to you. Just know that nobody really has the answer. The answer is within you. And with that, I will end by saying that Angel and I and the board of directors here at the CROC Podcast at Citizens Are United to Overcome Cancer always are praying for you, are always putting positive thoughts and vibrations into the universe for you, and are always hoping that these little podcasts will give you that slight edge to get you through a day, to get you through an hour, to get you through a minute of crisis. And we wish you all a long, healthy, happy, and cancer-free life. And may God bless you. May God be with you. Peace.
Hey, CROC Nation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the podcast to your friends. Visit our website, crocvip.com. We would love to hear your feedback.